Welcome. Welcome to Community of Christ with the Shenandoah Congregation in San Antonio, Texas. Community of Christ is a welcoming and loving faith community. We proclaim Jesus Christ and promote communities of joy, hope, love, and peace. Please take a moment and like our video, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss anything, and comment to tell us where you are joining us from. Keep our contact details and share with us how we can minister to your needs. Find more information at www.seaofchristsa.org. If you would like to view past services, follow this link on our website. We welcome you, we acknowledge you, and we love you. Shalom.
So I am Jay Higginson. Our theme today is keep faithful, keep the faith. I have been raised in this church. Just a few months old, my parents was taking me to church. My dad was ordained into the priesthood prior to my birth, and we had a very active life. Moving from Mount Vernon, Illinois to Salem is where my dad became pastor, and we were there for Sunday morning church services. We had sermons on Sunday nights, and we had prayer meetings on Wednesdays. And if anything happened in the middle, we probably were there. So my journey has been a long one. And with that, there have been many people that have touched my life, maybe even physically held me, cradled me, taught me, loved me. This is a great scripture today. It's part of it is really a favorite. One of my favorite verses in the scripture today that Paul was telling Timothy, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. What a lovely statement. Paul was in prison, and he knew that his death was imminent. He knew that his days were very limited. And so that's where he was speaking from that point of view. He'd been imprisoned, and there were folks that didn't come and visit him, and a few. But during that time, he stated in the scripture today that at his first offense, no one came to his support, but everyone deserted him for whatever reason. And so he still maintained his faith, strong and knowing all the way to the end that he would be crowned by the love and the strength and the appreciation of God, his Father. Today, there's about 30 of us in this room, maybe approximately another 30 that will be participating one way or the other, virtually or after the fact. Each one of us is on our own journey. And like a yarn is woven, we kind of intertwine, we cross into each other's paths. Maybe for a few moments today, we're on the same pathway, but then we leave and we veer off to a different path. Our journey sometimes hits some really mountain highs, and sometimes we hit some very low valleys. Sometimes there's ruts in the road. Sometimes we just stop and we're out of breath. Has anybody experienced any of that on their journey? And if you have, did your faith waver? Our faith is what we believe and our belief in God. And Paul is telling us always, keep your head in all situations. Keep your faith, whether it's the lowest valley that you can wade through, You're up over your head. Your health has waned. And so easy, it's like, I don't know if I can take it anymore. But your faith keeps you moving on. And you fight the good fight. No matter what, you still fight the good fight. Like a good warrior going to battle, you keep the fight. At a time when much was coming apart at the seams around me, I had a friend who asked me what I was going to do. My friend had always been a steady and faithful friend for many years. And I told him, I will do what you always did when things were falling apart around you. I'll press on. I'll press on and remain faithful. And he chuckled. Well, there was a lot of emotion behind that, staying faithful when all about you seems to be falling apart. But one of Paul's last words recorded in the Bible was telling Timothy, keep your head in all situations. And so many of us experienced that's easier said than done some days. However, one of the joys about growing up in our faith movement, growing up in a churched environment, growing up being faithful to God, being faithful to our scriptures and the studies. The thing about age is that so many things that we thought were mountains when we were children or young is just a little molehill today. We thought we could not get through it, and lo and behold, we did. And through our faith in God, we made it. And so sometimes it's easy for us that have been around a while, just hang in there, keep the faith. And you think, oh my goodness, I'm not sure that I can do this. But then a while later, you take another breath. I made it through there. I fought hard and I made it through. And, we have family and friends and members of our church that have gone through some very trying, maybe health issues. And they were not sure if they could make it through all of that. And then they did. And then it's like, oh, I'm a survivor of that cancer treatment or whatever. You made it. And then they have a testimony how I surely believe that God had his hand in that. I read Rudyard Kipling, and one of his poems was titled If. And in that, Rudyard Kipling said to his son, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and then blaming it on you. With this advice of 30 more lines of wisdom, he ends his poem with, you'll be a man, my son. If Paul and Rudyard Kipling were living at the same time in this world, they probably would have had similar thoughts and shared similar comments. But for Paul, these words of advice came in the last chapter of the last book he wrote, to the very next verse where Paul refers to his own departure. He does not expect to live very much longer. And at the very end of his prolific writings, he said, keep your head in all situations. The situation that caused my stress I referred to above was very different. And however, Paul said, here, keep your head in all situations. When I see the focus of others who teach on the 2 Timothy verses, the focus is on evangelism, preaching, the word, etc. I can understand why those messages focus on evangelism and preaching, but I want to focus on what I see important and the underemphasized part of the chapter, to keep your head in all situations and endure hardships and remain faithful. And remain faithful. I don't know what you're going through right now, but I do not know And I don't know your situations, but I know this: you will keep your head in all situations. You are going to endure some hardships. And that's sometimes the overlooked message of Timothy. When we are going down this journey, there's times that we feel that we're at the peak of our mountain. And at that time, it is so easy to be generous with our time, to be generous with our talent, to be generous with the gifts that God gave us. But sometimes when we're at the low end, it's so easy to say, I'm out of breath. I need to pause. I need to stop. I can't walk another step ahead. But folks, look around you. There's all the other folks that's on their journey at different places. Some folks at that time may be on their mountain, and others may be lower than you in their valley. And you can just stretch out your hands and grab hold and say, come on, we're in this journey together. Remain faithful. Keep your head on straight. We're going to make it together. And I do believe that the end of all these 60 some odd journeys, there will be a point in time where we're all together again on the one straight and narrow path. Avoid being reactive when things become heated. We are not to lose our head in this way. If in the very emotional situations, you can be a steady, calm presence, then you are in a position to make the best of whatever the situation is. Not losing your head is a virtue of patience. Sometimes we struggle with that little word of patience. We have struggles with patience working with our physicians, sometimes patience with struggling with the growth of our children, patience with coworkers, and situations that are impacting the world today. Keeping your head in the heat of emotions is a spiritual discipline linked to the fruit of the Spirit of love, joy, peace, and patience. There are the very intense outburst situations that push all of our hot buttons, where we need to be reminded to keep our faith, keep our head, keep our faith. Other times it could be crazy situations at work, or layoffs, or early retirement, and the emotional buzz of what is going on around the water cooler, all the rumors and the stories. But whatever your situation is, the response is still to be the same. Keep your head on. You can work out your own strategy to help keep your head on. Some strategies are some spiritual activities such as prayer times, walking in the fullness of the Spirit, spending time reading the Bible, sometimes just taking a walk in the woods and just realizing God made everything and surrounds me. He is with me always. Some other strategies are practical, like walking outdoors where you can get away from all the noise and the chatter that might help you be calm and not lose your head. Keep your head in all situations. One time, whenever I was small, I had a piano recital. And you know what? I went blank in the middle. I was playing, and then I had to walk off stage in total sadness. But my piano teacher gave me some great advice. She said, anytime you mess up in the middle, always end with a flourish, and no one will remember what happened in the middle. Isn't our life like that? End it in a flourish, and nobody's going to remember those little bumps in the middle. So no matter what you do, start out in a race. Whatever happens in the middle, but end in a flourish. But my friend, there's still time for you to end with a flourish. I want to challenge you always to be strong and end with a flourish. Just don't stop. Don't stop the race. No matter where you are on life's journey, no matter what you've done, no matter how badly that you messed up, no matter how you feel today compared to how you felt yesterday or 50 years ago, no matter if you're drowning in a sea of regret over decisions that you made, directions you've gone, or just dumb stuff that you did, there's still time to finish up strong. So don't stop. Don't come to the end of your life with things undone that you could have, should have, would have done, with things unsaid or things that could have been said. If you get a diagnosis tomorrow of a terminal illness that will take your life by this Friday, there's still some work to be done, and end it in a flourish. Don't just exist and don't just take up space. Don't live for yourself and no one else. So go hard after Jesus. Don't stop. Remain faithful. And for the young ones that haven't quite made it very far on their journey, keep those thoughts in mind. Go forward with strength. Remain faithful. Some way God will get you through all things. And don't get frustrated. So just to reiterate the chapter lesson today, begin to sense that Paul knows that he's coming to the end of his life. And maybe he knew that the death sentence had already been issued. Maybe he knew it was just coming and he saw the handwriting on the wall. And as he took his last lap, he made it clear that he was ready to go. And in verse 6, it talked about he poured out a drink offering. Back in those days, they would pour at the altar the bottle of wine or whatever. Well, you couldn't put the wine back in the glass. It was already passed. It was gone. You can't take it back. You can't put it back. It's final. With departure in verse 6, there is a picture of hoisting an anchor and setting the sails, taking down the tent, unyoking the ox. And in verse 7, he fought a good fight. He finished the race and he kept the faith. Not bragging and not being prideful or haughty. He just knew that to the glory of God, he was finishing strong and would receive the crown of righteousness. That should be our desire too. So thank you for listening. Remember, just to put a little note on your little sticky on your little notes, keep the faith and finish the race.